Welcome to Beyond the Clinic, the podcast for health professionals ready to transform their expertise into innovative income streams that extend beyond the traditional clinic model. I'm Sarah Armand-Bushell. I'm a registered dietitian and certified business coach and proud owner of 2 successful online businesses. I understand the leap from the security of a regular salary can feel intimidating because I've been there too. But it doesn't have to be scary, and you do not have to do this alone. Here you'll learn tangible strategies to accelerate your business growth. So if you're dreaming of using your expertise to create impact and a life of freedom, then you're in the right place. Have you ever wondered what it actually takes to pull off a 10K launch? Not the shiny Instagram perfect version with champagne corks popping all over the place, but the real step-by-step version from someone who's done it in her own nutrition business a few times over and has helped other healthcare professionals do it too. In today's episode, I'm lifting the lid because that's exactly what I'm going to teach you. Because if I wanted to have a 10K launch in The Children's Nutritionist from scratch, this is exactly the steps that I would follow. And actually, you know what? It's not as hard as you think. So I'm going to walk you through the 5 core steps that turn a quiet idea into a sold out offer, the mindset shifts that you'll need to stop sabotaging your own success, the mistakes that I've made and I see over and over again with other healthcare professionals. And I'm also going to tell you the story of a client I worked with a few years back now who came to me a nervous wreck and ended up with a 5-figure launch without even creating her content first. So if you've ever thought that launching was only for the big names, or that perhaps your audience is just too small, or maybe you're just not salesy enough, not good enough at marketing, then this episode is going to flip all of that on its head. So whatever you're doing, pop the kettle on, grab a notebook, let's get into this, and I'm going to break it all down for you because your next launch could actually be the one that changes absolutely everything for you. But let's be honest for a moment. When we hear about someone having a 10K launch, for example, we think one of 3 things. The first one is that must be very nice for them. The second one is they've probably got a giant audience and a team of 14 people working behind the scenes. And the third thing is often, actually, there's no way that I could do that. So if that sounds familiar, I want you to know that I've also felt that as well. But here you are, because deep down, you know that this could actually be possible for you, that there's a version of your business out there that doesn't mean constant one-to-ones or coupling together client slots around your NHS shifts or relying on doctor referrals. Maybe you've even tried launching before. You might have built something you were really proud of, like a mini course or a set of printables or a group program, and you shared about it a few times on Instagram and stuck it on your website, and then actually nothing. And then what happens is you start to spiral internally, don't you? You start thinking, oh, maybe it was the pricing. Maybe I just posted about it at the wrong time. Maybe I should have done a reel instead of a carousel. Maybe I sounded too salesy, or maybe actually I just wasn't salesy enough and I didn't talk about it enough. And then the really painful thoughts start to sneak in. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this business malarkey. So trust me when I say that you're not alone here, because I have felt all of that as well, sat staring at my screen, wondering if I should just call it quits and stick with what's safe. Regular income, predictable hours, pensions, all of that. Because launching something and hearing silence, it's really painful. It really does hurt quite a bit, especially when you've poured hours of all of your best ideas into something, your evenings you've given up, your kids' nap times, and even half your sanity, really. Because here's what most people don't know about launches. A 10K launch, it isn't about luck. It isn't about algorithms. It's not even just about strategy either. Strategy is important, but it's actually often about your mindset. And deep down, if you're launching and you've got this niggling voice in the back of your mind that says, no one's going to buy this, or you're just not ready yet, or even who do I think I am? Then no amount of polished videos and beautiful Canva graphics or clever email funnels is going to change any of that. Because when you're launching with negative energy, it does kind of leach out of everything that you do. It shows up in how you price your offer, often too low. It shows up in how you talk about it, often apologetically sometimes. It shows up in how you show up online, if you show up at all. And if your launch energy is low or a bit wobbly or just hiding in the shadows, your results are going to reflect that. So before we get into the juicy bits of what I would actually do, we need to start with what you believe here, because I can give you the perfect sales funnel. But if you're quietly holding on to a belief that you're not good at selling, or you're not qualified enough yet, or you're not quite ready yet, then those thoughts have a sneaky way of shaping how you're going to show up, and they can gently derail you before your launch really even begins. But if you don't get both the strategy and the mindset piece working together in harmony, you do end up feeling a little bit stuck in a cycle that's actually equal parts exhausting, but also really disheartening. Because I know that you want to build a business that feels really exciting, that feels impactful, and of course, profitable. But instead, you're caught in this loop of overthinking everything, of overworking, often of undercharging, and all the while sitting there wondering, what is it that I'm missing here? So let's look at the strategy side of things first. You might already be doing so much, working so hard. You've got an email list and you're sending out that monthly newsletter. You're showing up on social media a solid 3 times a week. And maybe you've even got a course idea sat on your desktop, half built, half dreamed, that's been waiting since maybe even last Easter. You've probably downloaded all the freebies. You've probably signed up to other people's challenges. You've probably watched all of the webinars twice, 3 times, in fact. And you've been truly trying to piece all these bits together. And yet you still don't quite feel ready. Or maybe you did launch once, but it didn't quite go according to plan. And now the thought of doing all of it over again, it makes your stomach sink a bit. You may even have a wall plastered with Post-it notes, more than what you could buy in WH Smith's. You might have a color-coded Trello board, a Google Drive folder labeled Magic Ideas, but no real clarity on what your audience actually wants to buy. And so what tends to happen is you spend weeks behind the scenes getting ready, which usually means tweaking, planning, retweaking, and actually a lot of overthinking. And then your launch week arrives, you post 3 times about your brand new course, you open the cart, and then panic creeps in a bit. You start second guessing things, the pricing, the messaging, whether you should have gone with teal instead of dusty rose in your colors. You find yourself refreshing your inbox more times than you care to admit, hoping that this is the moment that someone finally buys. And then cart close happens and 2 people have joined. And what you decide to do is you quietly leave the offer evergreen and move on. And it's not exactly the 5-figure dream, is it? Now let's talk about the mindset piece and how this all fits in here, because this is that invisible layer that nobody really warns you about. Maybe something doesn't quite land how you hoped, and your brain just logs it as evidence. It logs it as, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Selling just does not come naturally to me. And why does it look so easy for everybody else? And ultimately, it makes you feel like you're failing. And slowly, these subtle thoughts, they start to shape your actions. You move into what feels familiar rather than what feels a little bit scary or on the other side of comfort. You say yes to more and more one-to-ones. You sign up for another free masterclass because maybe that's the missing piece of the puzzle. And you create another low-cost offer because you think maybe pricing is the problem. You promise yourself that you launch again later when things are all right, when you've got more time, when you've got more followers, when you've got more confidence. But time doesn't just magically appear, and confidence doesn't just land in your lap one Tuesday morning. And spoiler alert, your dream clients aren't going to come knocking just because you've changed your logo or the wording on your website again. If you want different results, you need to start showing up differently. But that doesn't mean working harder. It doesn't mean pushing yourself towards burnout. It means showing up with strategy and belief, with support, and with the knowledge that launching can feel light, it can feel aligned, and it can genuinely feel really quite exciting once you know how. And that shift, you can start that today. I'm going to tell you a bit about Dahlia. Now, Dahlia came to me with an idea for a group program, just a spark of an idea, but she was absolutely brilliant, really passionate, really well qualified, had a really deep understanding of her niche. She'd already helped tons of women one-to-one in hormonal health, but she couldn't shake this voice that kept saying, I might put this group program together, but actually, what if no one buys it? What if the only thing that they want is one-to-one consultations? What if I share about my launch webinar everywhere and only 5 people sign up and then none of them actually turn up? What if it works for everybody else, but it's not going to work for me? And she was stuck in this invisible launch loop because she had the dream, she had the offer idea, she had all the Canva graphics, of course, but she also had the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, the fear of judgment from her old NHS colleagues, from her mates, from that dietitian on Instagram who always seems to have it all together all of the time. So instead of launching, she tweaked and she fiddled and she redid her colour palette and she bought another course that she didn't quite finish. And she got caught up in building the perfect thing instead of validating the right thing. So here's what we did differently. First of all, we tackled her mindset. She started to show up as the leader of her offer and not just the creator of it. We reframed her beliefs around selling. We worked on her visibility fears. We helped her shift from what if they say no to what if they say yes? And then strategy. We built a warm-up plan that built anticipation every week for 8 weeks ahead of her launch date. We validated her offer with an actual audience before she created it. We mapped out her live launch events. In this case, what she did was she did 2 90-minute webinars. And she started talking about her program like there was already interest, like it was already filling up, like it was already sold out, because she was showing up with confidence in and belief in what she was selling. And here's the best part. She was aiming to sell 22 spots and she sold out every single space in that program. And it was before she created a single asset for it. And the total launch revenue, £11,265 in 10 days. But even more importantly, she said, and I'll never forget this, I feel like a business owner for the first time, not a dietitian trying to make this business thing work. And right there, that was the shift. She moved from stuck in self-doubt and scared to sell to booked out and frankly buzzing. All right, so let's break it down into some easy step-by-step instructions if you want to launch as well. So if I was going to have a 10K launch, not fingers crossed, hoping for it launch, but a proper 10K launch, this is exactly what I would do. So step 1, I'm going to warm up my audience, but properly. Because a 10K launch doesn't start the day your cart opened. It starts weeks before, sometimes months before. This is what we often call the pre-launch phase, and it's where you build awareness, you build a bit of buzz, you build a bit of trust, and it means creating content that speaks directly to the pain points that your offer solves. So we're telling stories, we are answering objections that you know your clients will have before they even ask them. And of course, we're showing social proof like success stories. If this is the first time you've launched after a long cart close period, you'll also want to open up a wait list during this time and send those who've put their names on it weekly emails to build excitement, anticipation, and give them a little bit of insight into what's going on behind the scenes. So the goal of this pre-launch phase is to make sure that by the time you open your cart, people are already warmed up, they're already engaged, and they're really excited to see what it is that you're offering. You want them to be practically shouting, "Just take my money." I know that's a bit crass, but we want them really excited for this thing that they know that's coming. And if you're thinking, "Sarah, that's great, but I've only got 400 followers," you know what? That's okay, because it's not really about quantity. It's about the quality of those people, because an engaged audience of 100 people will convert so much better than an audience of 10,000 people who are just lurking in the background. So I've got a mindset check-in for you here. Are you treating your audience like people or like numbers? Walking into a room of 100 people and standing in front of them and talking feels massive, doesn't it? But just 100 people on your email list, it doesn't so much, does it? Are you showing up with value or with an apology? Please say value here. And are you selling like someone who believes that this program is going to work? You need to wholeheartedly have the self-belief that you can do this, you can help people, and that your success is inevitable. Okay, step 2 is to validate the offer before you build it. Now, this one is absolutely crucial, and I've spoken about this before on the podcast. Do not build a whole course. Do not build a single module for a membership. Do not create a single slide for a program before you validated that people actually want it and will pay for it. So ask yourself, how have I spoken to my audience about this idea? And did I have enough people saying, yes, I'm interested? Have you created a piece of content about this that's got some really strong engagement from the people in your audience? It could be a blog article. It could be a reel on Instagram. It could be an email newsletter that you sent out about the topic and asked for response. Have you done polls? Have you done surveys? Have you got a wait list with signups on it? Have you had people come forward and put their name down and engage with you? So the mindset check-in here is this is really all about where perfectionism tries to creep in, because you want your thing that you're launching to be perfect, don't you? You want it to be shiny, you want it to be finished, but done and valuable beats perfect and invisible every single time. So validation isn't about building confidence. It's about building evidence. It's data. It's proof that people actually want what it is that you have to sell. So when people are showing an interest, when they're raising their hand and they're saying, yes, I want this, it gives you confidence and it gives you that proof. So I strongly advise you, if this is a new product or a new program or a new service that you're putting together, as well as asking for proof, ask for payment too, because pre-selling your program is the ultimate form of validation. Okay, step 3 is to create a launch event that sells through service. So what do I mean by that? So it could be a webinar, it could be a 3 or 5 day challenge, it could be a live Q&A session, or even a short series of videos, pre-recorded videos. But the key is you want to teach something small but powerful that shows the transformation part that your main offer delivers, whilst also opening up bigger questions that your program supports with, and all the while showcasing your personality and your credibility. So in that event, you're building trust. You're showing people what is possible, and you're gently guiding them to see that your paid offer is the next logical and best step for them. And please don't shy away when it comes to the pitch. You're not being pushy here. You're asking for permission first, and you're being professional. You're not being annoying. You're being available. You're not taking, you are serving, you are helping. So my mindset check-in for you related to this point is, if you believe in your offer, you have to tell people about it, and you have to do it over and over, because the people who need it, They need to know about it. And often when they do, they're watching quietly, mulling over the options, deciding. So our job is to give them enough information about your offer so that they can go away and make an informed decision about whether it's right for them or not. Okay, step 4 is to build a clear, confident sales system. So let's talk sales for a moment. Everything so far has been marketing, and that's completely different to sales because no matter how great your content is or how heart-centered your message feels or how bang on you are with your marketing, people still need a way to say yes. So that also means you need a really clear benefit-driven sales page. You also need a simple checkout process so that they can pay you. And you need a sales-focused email sequence that nurtures, reassures, future paces, and reminds people why they wanted to learn about this in the first place. So all of these need to speak to the outcome. They need to speak to the benefits, moving away from the pain that they're currently experiencing and what their everyday life will look like when that happens. Most people just list out the features. They also need to answer those common objections or questions that your clients might have before saying yes. They need to show client stories. They need to celebrate successes that mirror their journey, that reflect their pain points and frustrations and worries and anxieties. And they must make people feel something, emotion, because decisions are often made because of emotion. And they also need a deadline and a reminder of that deadline that's delivered with compassion, not pressure to buy. Because if you don't give people a reason to act now, they'll never take action. And in healthcare, I actually feel that's a bit of a disservice. Oh, and here's a tip for you, actually. Write your sales-focused emails in that warm-up period before the cart opens, because launch week is not the time to be scrambling for words. I've been there, honestly. When you're launching, you're knee deep in the trenches there. You really do not want to be trying to think of the words to put together in your sales emails. Do that ahead of time. Here's something I want you to hear, and I really want you to hear that, because selling is really just letting people know how you can help them. And that's it. It's not about tricking anyone. It's not about shouting louder than everybody else on Instagram. It's not about persuading people. It's about saying, I see you and I've got something that I believe could truly help you. Would you like to know more? And it's how your business grows. It's how people find solutions. And it's how you make more money without adding loads more hours to your week. And then step 5 is to finish really strong here. So close your cart with energy. And this is the bit that actually most people forget. They show up like mad in the first few days of their launch, then they go quiet, or they burn out actually, because launching can be exhausting, or they panic post something generic like, just a reminder, doors are closing soon. But here's what I would do instead. I would close out my launch by hosting a final live Q&A or an Instagram live, for example. I would also share behind the scenes of people joining the program, anonymously, of course, but the excitement of welcoming new people in. I would share DMs, again, anonymized, from interested people and posting answers to those common questions publicly, like on Instagram stories, really to let the audience who are still sitting there trying to make a decision whether it's for them or not, feel the buzz of it all. I'd reshare testimonials that I might have already shared earlier, and I would celebrate, honestly, waving pom-poms in the air. So really high energy celebrations here. Because the final 48 hours, that's when most of the sales come in. So it's not the time to panic and disappear because you haven't had as many sales as you thought you should have at this point. You tend to get people right at the beginning, nothing in the middle, and then right at the end. Most of the sales come in those last 48 hours. And yes, do remind people of the deadline. Say it multiple times. Say it till you're sick of hearing yourself saying it. Put it on social media, put it as a banner on your website. Put it in emails, in groups and forums. Ask your friends and supporters to tell their audiences. And you know what? People don't mind the repetition. We mind it. We get sick of hearing about it. But people actually need to be reminded because people are really busy. So let's pause for a second here and do a little bit of a mindset check in relation to this part of heading into that final stretch of your launch, because this is your moment, really. You're not bothering people by reminding them about your offer. You're not being annoying. You're not being too much. You're simply holding the door open to them. It's like inviting somebody to a party. You sent the invite, they seemed interested, but then life got in the way. Kids, work, school runs, bake-off reruns, you know how it is. Now, if you don't remind them that the party is happening tonight, they'll likely forget and they'll miss out. Not because they didn't want to come, but because they forgot and you didn't nudge them. So that's what your cart close content is really all about. It's a gentle nudge. It's a reminder. It's a, hey, don't miss out on this. It's an opportunity for them to say yes, not a pressure tactic or persuasion. So show up with belief. Speak to the person who is still sitting on the fence, who just needs one more moment of connection with you before they take the leap. All right, I think we've covered quite a lot today, but let's bring it back to you. If you're dreaming of having a 10K launch, or any launch actually that feels aligned, it feels joyful, and it feels worth your energy, here's what I want you to know. Launching is not reserved for the Insta famous. It's not about being louder. It's about being clearer. It's about showing up consistently and confidently with the right strategy and the right mindset. Because honestly, you don't need a huge audience. You don't need to have everything ready, created up front before you sell it. You don't need to be anyone other than yourself. You just need a plan. So here's your next step. If you're ready for support and you want somebody in your corner helping you map this out, helping to cheer you on and giving you the exact tools to make this happen, then come and talk to me about it. You'll find the link to book a free discovery call in the show notes, and I can help you figure out the next best moves for you. But if you're not quite ready for that yet, then no worries, that's absolutely fine. This episode hopefully gave you a little spark, a little bit of interest. And if it did, I'd love for you to screenshot it, to share about it on Instagram and tag me in and tell me what your biggest takeaway was. Because I'd love to hear what's stuck with you, what's resonated. Because the truth of the matter here is you can have a 10K launch. You can build a business that feels fun and profitable and full of freedom. And you can stop hiding and you can start selling in a way that just feels genuine. It feels like you. It feels like you're being kind. You've just got to start. Bye for now. That's it for another week. Thank you so much for joining me as we explore the abundance of strategies to help you recapture that feeling of possibility and excitement as you drive your business forwards and beyond the clinic room. If you found today's episode inspirational, then don't forget to like and subscribe to the show to stay in the loop for more valuable advice that I'm going to be sharing each week. If you want to be the first to hear about new episode releases, news and ways that I can support your business growth, then please don't forget to check out the links in the show notes, and you can also connect with me from there. Don't keep me a secret. I would be delighted if you left a review and shared this podcast with your colleagues. Until next time, bye for now.